I'd like to call the City Council Committee of the Whole meeting for September 21st, 2016 to order. At this time, I want to, we do our moment of silence, I think it's an opportunity for us to think of, before we do that, two really caring, iconic people in our community that we lost within the last week or so. First of all is Monsignor Marvin Mottet. Monsignor Mottet was really a pillar of social justice and the activities that he provided throughout our community for many years. He was ordained in 1956 at Sacred Heart Cathedral in Davenport. And he led the Social Action Department, Rural Life Department, and the Campaign for Human Development and Immigration for many years. He wrote an article that was 2 feet of social justice, the model that is widely used today to explain the difference between social service and social action. He was also the national director of the Catholic Campaign for Human Development, founder of the Quad Cities Interfaith Housing, and the East Side Davenport Development groups. And he was awarded the Pacem in Terris Peace and Freedom Award in 2008. And interestingly, as part of his background, his request upon his passing was to, instead of anything else, non-perishable food items to Sacred Heart Cathedral Pantry or clothing to Sacred Heart Clothing Center. In addition to that, I think he will be missed. And at a more lighthearted moment related to that, a number of years ago, he really was working hard recruiting my son to become a priest. So, but that's who he was. He saw people all over and he lived his life and his mission. Another individual that we will definitely miss is Dr. Joe Sang. He was a state senator, obviously, and many of us know that, a local veterinarian. But he did so much of his work. So much of his work was done, and he might get a pie in exchange, or people that, it wasn't that office where everybody came in. It was the boutique kind of place. It was the place where the average person could get service, and that really epitomized his entire life. Not only did he own the St. Francis Veterinary Hospital, but also he was recognized by the American Humane Society, the Iowa Veterinary Medical Association. He was Legislator of the Year, recognized. He was also on our council here, and Mayor Pro Tem and Alderman at Large for the city of Davenport, and he was the driving force behind Marquette Academy. These two gentlemen, even though different paths and different lifestyles and the work that they did, really were focused on kids, families, and our community. And with that, let us all hope we can be that same type of person in our community for as many years as we possibly can. So with that, I'd like to offer us to take a moment of silence, please. Thank you very much. Alderman Justin, would you lead us in a Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Alderman Justin. Jackie, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Ambrose?
Here.
Mattson?
Here.
Dickman?
Here.
Grip?
Here.
Justin?
Here.
Boone?
Here.
Rawson? Here. Gordon?
Here.
Tompkins?
Here.
Dunn?
Here.
All present, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Again, I would like to welcome you this evening, and it's a good evening to all. We're glad that you're here. As we begin our meeting of the City Council, I want to welcome all those in attendance and also those who are viewing our meeting on television or on the internet. We respectfully welcome your comments and opinions, and please keep in mind that as you talk to the Council, you're also sharing your thoughts with fellow Davenporters and with viewers throughout the region by way of our television broadcast. We're happy that you're participating in your city government, and it's exciting to see some of the former representatives from our Citizens Academy that have been coming and being more actively involved. But we thank all of you for being here this evening, and we know we all reflect the fact that you are, we're sharing to make Davenport an even greater place for all of our citizens. For the children, adults, seniors, and families in our community, those in attendance and those watching at home, I thank you for joining us. At this time, we ask that you turn off or silence your cell phones and other electronic handheld devices, as they can interfere with the audio system here in the chambers. And if you wish to address the council on a specific item that occurs on a committee agenda, you are encouraged to do so during that standing committee. You will also have an opportunity to address the council under public with business portion of the meeting, which will occur towards the end. When addressing the council, I ask that you step to the podium, wait to be recognized by myself or the committee chair, and speak to the council as a body and not any single member. You are asked to limit your remarks to no more than 5 minutes, and I ask that everyone observe, and I know you all will, accept the commonly accepted rules of decorum, courtesy, dignity, and good taste. So with that, thank you very much. I'd like to start if there's a city administrator update, please.
Nothing this evening, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. We have 3 public hearings this evening. First, Community Development. Alderman Boone, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Our first public hearing is on the proposed conveyance of parcel F0030-10, 1208 Farnham Street to petitioner Angela Sheets. And I understand she is in the audience, and if she would please come up, and we'd love to hear from you.
Hello. I just want to thank you guys for the opportunity for this wonderful, excelling opportunity that I'm getting with this house. This program is truly a blessing, and I hope that it continues to help others. And I will also look into paying it forward as I can to make a difference.
Very good.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. All right. Our second public hearing is for an ordinance for case REZ 16-0.
Did you want to close that?
Oh, I am sorry. Got right off. I thought it was an agenda here. I'd move to close the public hearing.
It's been moved and seconded to close that public hearing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That hearing is closed. Alderman Boone.
Now we're on the second public hearing for an ordinance for case REZ 16-08, being the petition of Classic Development Company for the rezoning of .594 acres, more or less, of real property located at 4504 through 4506 Fairmont Street and 3705 through 3707 West 46th Street, from R5 medium density dwelling district to R4 PUD planned unit development to facilitate fee simple ownership of the land with the unit. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to comment on this item? Seeing none, I would move to close the public hearing.
It has been moved and seconded to close that public hearing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That is closed.
Our final public hearing is for the Consolidated Plan Annual Performance Evaluation Report for the year ending June 30th, 2016. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to comment? Seeing none, I would move to close the public hearing.
It's been moved and seconded to close that public hearing. All in favor say aye. Any opposed, same sign. That hearing is closed. We'd like to turn to now Public Works, and Alderman Ambrose, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I open a public hearing on the public hearing on the plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost for the replacement of the 8-inch sanitary sewer main at West Kimberly Road and Harrison Street, funded through the $680,000 in bond. Anybody from the public? Council? I move to close this public hearing.
That hearing has been moved and seconded to close. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. We'd like to now, thank you, Alderman Ambrose. We'd like to move on to some presentations. First one, we have a proclamation for the Have Life Foundation, and Alderman Justin is going to read that proclamation.
Thank you, Your Honor. And the proclamation reads as follows. Whereas the week of September 18th through September 24th has been designated as Preventing Lost Potential Week by the Have Life Foundation, and whereas the Preventing Lost Potential Week is to be an annual week of celebration and provides a renewed focus on the importance of and dedication to educate, encourage, protect, and develop our community's youth, and whereas the Have Life Foundation serves as an advocate for all schools, nonprofit organizations, sports clubs, civic organizations, government programs, and religious institutions that place emphasis on valuing and caring for youth. And whereas this week initiates an ongoing movement to make the Quad Cities community the best place in the nation for youth. And whereas the City of Davenport recognizes that this effort is successful because of the partnerships that Have Life Foundation has formed with residents, businesses, and community organizations, now therefore we, Frank Clips Mayor, and the City Council of Davenport, Iowa, do hereby proclaim the week of September 18th through the 24th, 2016 as Preventing Loss Potential Week 2016. And we call upon all citizens of our great city to join with us in support of this valuable dedication and demonstration of commitment to our youth in the Quad Cities community, dated this 21st day of September 2016. I'm honored to move this proclamation.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. That proclamation has been approved. I'd like to ask Mike Vonderen and Kim Guy to come up from the foundation. Well, I'm honored to be able to make this presentation. This is, I know the organization, its history. I know both of you and the important work that this organization does for so many. We can't thank you enough, not only what you do for the kids in Davenport, but the whole region. So with that, thank you very much, and why don't we get around here and and make this an official presentation. So there we go. Let everybody see it. There's people out there that are taking pictures with their minds. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very
You want
much.
to say a few words?
Appreciate it. On behalf of the Have Life Foundation, we'd like to thank you for this proclamation. This has been our third consecutive year that the city has done that, and we do appreciate it. Our foundation was created in 2007 in memory of Hunter Aaron Vondren. And as Mayor Klipsch did say, we do serve the Quad City region. We are now involved in all of the school districts, many nonprofits, to include Eldridge and East Moline outside of the Quad City proper. And we are hoping to surpass the $800,000 granting amount this year from our foundation to kids, organizations that serve youth ages 10 to 15 in the area of sports, arts, and music by participation scholarships. And we couldn't do it without the great support of many people in the cities as far as the City Council, and we really appreciate this opportunity and honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mike, anything you want to say? Thank you. Mike and Kim, thank you very much. We're now moving on to petitions and communications from the council and myself. First, we'd like to start with Alderman Rawson and community engagement update.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, as usual, I'll start with Food Truck Tuesday, because that's a good thing to start with. The next three, just as a reminder, is next Tuesday at Bechtel Park, 4 to 9, October 7th, Bechtel Park, 4 to 9, and October 14th. And the 7th and the 14th of October are both Fridays, 4 to 9 p.m. So if you missed it yesterday, it was a huge crowd down on the riverfront enjoying 10 different food trucks, so it was pretty awesome. A lot of people there, and an opportunity to try our local fare. The second thing is, just to give everybody an update, the ad hoc committee for community engagement is underway. There's currently 11 members of that committee, first and foremost community members, just general residents are members of that committee, as well as a representative from St. Ambrose, the Chamber, NHS, Habitat for Humanity, and various other organizations around the city. So I'll have more for you about that going forward. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Rawson. Alderman Dickman.
Thank you, Your Honor. Tomorrow, the Second Ward will be having its meeting. We'll be having presentations on the neighborhood, recognized neighborhood program and the housing rehabilitation program. Sorry, I almost got those confused there. And then that meeting we will actually be cutting a little bit short because our community planning and economic development sector of the city is going to be taking input on how they spend those dollars in our next fiscal year. I went to the one yesterday and it was really informative and exciting, so I really hope that you will join us both for the ward meeting and for the community community planning and economic development input session. I will also add that Food in a Flick is coming up on October 1st. There will also be food trucks there, and if you are interested in seeing Hocus Pocus at 7 that evening, you can come and do so with some of your Davenport neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Alderman Grip.
Thank you, Your Honor. want to give an update on our Citizens Academy. We just completed week 2, and that was finance. Brandon and his team did a great job. The first week, a lot of the questions from the group seemed to be focused around finance and how does the money work, and I thought that the finance team had 2 really great interactive games that showed folks how our money is spent and how we're constrained sometimes based on the source of the money. And this week we have a Public Works field trip day on Friday, and I think Brian is going to put us to work, and hopefully every pothole in the city will be filled Friday. If it's not, they'll have questions to answer. Yeah. So, and I'd also like to thank Brian and Clay and his team, Eric and Eric. They've been working with me on some things, and they've been very responsive and have a great can-do attitude to make sure that our citizens are getting the services that they deserve. And then finally, I had an opportunity to travel out to Boston this weekend. It was for fun, but it was such a magnificent city, and there was a lot of things I took away. Whenever I go to a new city, I try to think of ways that we can make Davenport better, and they were a great model for waterfront development. For parks, I found an awesome park where they had food trucks and they had glow-in-the-dark swings, and the place was packed in the evening, and it was really fantastic. And then they also do a great job of balancing historical buildings and new buildings, 400-year-old buildings next to 20-year-old buildings, and we have some of those same challenges here. So it was a good experience.
Thank you very much. Alderman Ambrose.
Thank you, Honor. You know, I want to take an opportunity to give an update on my ward meeting Monday. You know, first off, I want to thank Chief Sikorsky, Captain Bladel, and Corporal Harris for the powerful presentation they gave. You know, Monday night at my ward meeting, the police chief gave a very powerful presentation about the challenges our police department deals with fighting crime. And, you know, the 4th Ward, you know, we have a great battle going on right there. And the wonderful people of the city of Davenport should be praying for our police officers and their safety and thanking their family for the sacrifices they make for every day our police department goes to work. You know, they're chasing around criminals, many of them habitual criminals that are shooting up our neighborhoods and trying to rob our homes and businesses. And the justice system, they take great risks to make these arrests, and then the justice system seems to fall apart from that point on. It's like the courts can't get these habitual criminals back into our neighborhoods quick enough. You know, our city council has asked the state legislators and the Iowa State Supreme Court to help us address these issues, but with no response. What they have done is the Iowa Supreme Court has ruled against the Davenport Police Department and good police work. The Iowa Supreme Court has lowered the bail in the state of Iowa, so now Iowa has the lowest bails in the country, making it easier for the criminals to get back into our neighborhoods and our communities. And then finally, the 7th Judicial District, in an effort to make their jobs easier, built a halfway house prison on Main Street across from our high school. And almost weekly, we have criminals walking away from it. And the last one to walk away was a convicted murderer. You know, our governor, Terry Branstad, decided to close up the hospital for the criminally insane. And what's Davenport end up with? They end up with the worst sex offender in Iowa history back in our community. President Barack Obama, he's releasing thousands of federal prisoners that are drug dealers back into our community, and our police department and community is fighting a drug epidemic. Hey, in November we have an election. We have Scott County Sheriff running for office. We have county supervisors. We have state representatives and legislators running for office, congressmen and senators. You know, it's time that the people in our community that are being victimized by the courts and the justice system and the legislators' lack of action, call them to question and find out what they're going to do. So, again, thank God we have a great police department, and thank God none of them have been hurt, but we got to pray for them, and we got to pray that we have legislators in the future that are going to change what's happening in our neighborhoods and our community and make them safer. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else have a comment? I just had a couple of quick items that I wanted to share. One is the kind of timely after that message. Our public safety operational and collaborative planning RFP has gone out. So we'll be getting those back of how we can, again, as a result of our Blue Ribbon Public Safety Panel, that's the next step to get information back. So all of our staff will be involved initially vetting those, and then the larger community and the council will review those. How can we even be more efficient? We got a great, obviously accredited both of those departments, but again, collaboratively with the whole other departments in the region. So we're working on that right now. Also, you may have seen this morning the information about the broadband work that Bettendorf is undertaking. I just wanted to reiterate for everyone that is a collaborative project. That's not a Bettendorf project, but a collaborative project. It consists of all of us. I spoke with Mayor Gallagher this afternoon, and basically they're looking at three major elements. One, working with Davenport was one of the key items that they talked about. This is because we had some extensive discussions related to our own broadband initiatives, and it was determined that we'd be best doing it together. They agree, and Mayor Gallagher agrees wholeheartedly. Secondly, as we have done and they are committed to do, is what is the infrastructure that's out there? What do we have available? And then lastly, with Davenport, how do we come up with the best plan for the entire community for broadband and fiber optics as we move forward? So just wanted to clarify that is a collaborative. We've been trying to do everything in partnership, and this is another one of those that will be in partnership as well. So I just wanted to reiterate that point as we move forward. As we're finished with that, I'd like to now, first of all, turn to our first action items, our action items for discussion. And again, before we do that one, Alderman Ambrose will be starting, Alderman Boom, I mean, for a moment in community development. But just again for the public, this is the week where the Committee of the Whole, we go through every item that we'll be discussing. Those items that are discussed here and the public has an input, an opportunity, and those are necessarily agreed upon, they go next week and it goes on a consent agenda. And we don't bring them up again. We've already had a full discussion here, and then we will approve those next week. This is the vetting process this week, and we'll go through a number of items tonight, quite a few, and the public will have an opportunity to speak related to those specific topics. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Alderman Boom to do committee development.
Thank you, Your Honor. Our first item is a third consideration of an ordinance for case ORD 16-01, the request of the City of Davenport for a text amendment to Title 17 of the Davenport Municipal Code, amending Chapter 17.46 of the Davenport City Code entitled Nonconforming Uses by adding a section to allow nonconforming agricultural properties containing a minimum of 10 acres within the R1 low-density dwelling district to erect fences, accessory buildings, and barns in accordance with the A1 agricultural district regulations. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to comment? Seeing none and none from council, that item will move on. Our second item is a second consideration of ordinance for case REZ 16-01, being the request of Juan Goita for the rezoning of 0.52 acres of real property located at 1002 Bridge Avenue from R4 Moderate Density Dwelling District to R4 PUD Planned Unit Development to allow a two-story detached garage with a habitable area on the second level. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to comment? Seeing none and none from council, that item will move on. Our third is a first consideration of an ordinance for case REZ 16-08, being the petition of Classic Development Company Incorporated for the rezoning of .594 acres, more or less, of real property located at 4504 through 4506 Fairmont Street and 3705 to 3707 West 46th Street from R5M Medium Density Dwelling District to R4 PUD Planned Unit Development to facilitate simple fee ownership of land with the unit. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to comment? Seeing none and none from council, this item will move on. Our fourth is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute documents necessary to convey the parcel F0030-10-1208 Farnham Street to the petitioner Angela Sheets. Anyone from the public? And council, that item will move on. Our last is a resolution approving case F16-10, being the final plat of Ameto Way addition located west of Division Street, north of Northwest Boulevard, 6324 through 6402 Division Street, containing 4 residentially zoned lots. Anyone from the public? And council, that item move on. Alderman Grip, would you please set the agenda?
Make a motion to place all items on the consent agenda.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All items on consent. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Your Honor, we're done.
Thank you very much. Our second area is public safety. Alderman Mattson as chair, and Alderman Dickman as vice chair will make that presentation and discussion.
Thank you, Your Honor. Public safety items for consideration. Number 1 is a third consideration of an ordinance amending Schedule 11 of Chapter 10.96 entitled Resident Parking Only by adding Ripley Street along the frontage of 1217 and 1221 Ripley Street. Anyone from the public? Council? Very good. Number 2 is a resolution closing various streets and lanes or public grounds on the listed dates. I'll read them all, and then I'll ask for comment. St. Paul Lutheran Church, Trunk or Treat, October 23rd, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Closure location is High Street and alley between Brady Street and Main Street. The Project Renewal Neighborhood Halloween Party, October 26th, 2:30 to 6 p.m. Closure location is intersection of 6th, Vine, and Ash Streets. International Fire Museum, 3rd Annual Fire Muster in the Village, October 2nd, noon to 5 p.m. The closure location is 11th Street from Mound Street to Jersey Ridge Road. Davenport Community School District Marching Band Competition, October 11th. The rain date is October 17th, 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. The closure location is 36th Street between Brady Street and Davenport Avenue. And then Food Truck Fridays, October 7th and 14th, 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. Location Bechtel Park, 2nd and Iowa Streets. Is there anyone from the public that would like to discuss any of those closures? Council? Very good. Number 3 is a motion approving a noise variance request for various events on the listed dates. We have 1. Abate District 15 Toys for Tots Motorcycle Parade, October 2nd, 9 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. over 50 dBA. And closure location starting at Walmart, Kimberly East to Division Street, south to 3rd Street, east to Brady Street, north to Kimberly, and east to Hobby. Anyone from the public concerned with that? Council. Very good. Then number 4 is a motion approving beer and liquor licenses, new licenses. I'll read the couple that are new. Raw Bar, 136 East 3rd Street, Suite A, license type C. It's pending approval by the ZBA on the 22nd tomorrow. The Clubhouse, 4800 Elmore Avenue. The suite specifically is not established yet. Outdoor area license type C and B. Anybody from the public concerned with those 2 new licenses? Council? Very good. And then we have some annual license renewals. They're on your agenda. Does anybody have any concern with any of those? Alderman Ambrose.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. MC's Happy Hollow on Washington Street. There's been several complaints from the neighborhood, and if the police chief has some time, can he do a follow-up and give the council, kind of an update of what the reports have been and, what's being done to correct it? before next Wednesday. Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else? Very good. Chief, you have that. I'll then ask Alderwoman Dickman to recommend an agenda.
I move that all items be placed on the consent agenda.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor? Disapprove or against? Very good. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Mattson. Our third area tonight is Public Works. Our Alderman Ambrose is our chair, and Alderman Dunn is the vice chair.
Thank you, Your Honor. The first item of discussion is a resolution of acceptance for the demolition work associated with construction, installation of the Central Fire Station completed by McAdams Incorporated of Davenport, Iowa. The final contract amount for the work was $213,567. Anybody from public? Council? Number two is a resolution granting permission for Judicial Communications Services Incorporated to install a buried communication system in the city right-of-way along East 53rd Street from Victoria Avenue to Lakeview Parkway, then north along Lakeview Parkway, a distance of approximately 475 feet, a total distance of approximately 2,025 feet. Anybody from the community? Council? Third item is a resolution granting permission for Geneseo Construction Service Incorporated to install a buried communication system in the city right-of-way from 5433 Tremont Avenue south to 54th Street, then along 54th Street to Cary Avenue, then south along Cary Avenue to 1110 East 53rd Street, a total distance of approximately 1,520 feet. Anybody from the community, the council? And number four is a resolution granting permission to Geneseo Communications Service Incorporated to install a buried communication system in the city right-of-way along Harrison Street from Welcome Way to 35th Street and then east along 35th Street to 212 West 35th Street for a total distance of approximately 2,300 feet. Anybody from the community, from council? And number five is a resolution granting permission to Windstream Corporation to install a buried communication system in the city right-of-way along Palmer Drive, then west side of Main Street to the east side of Brady Street, a total distance of approximately 700 feet. Anybody from the community, from the council? And number six is a resolution granting permission for Windstream Corporation to install a buried communication system in the city right-of-way along 56th Street from the west side of Utica Ridge west to 4455 East 56th Street, a total distance of approximately 200 feet, 2,000 feet. Anybody from the community, from council? Alderman Justin.
Thank you, Chair. I just had a question, especially on Utica Ridge Road. There must not be a utility easement along that road, and that's why they're in the city right-of-way. I don't know why they're in the right-of-way and not back in the utility easement. And then if that road gets widened and they're in the city right-of-way, will they be moving out of our right-of-way at their cost? Because usually they put those utilities back in a utility easement, I believe. I know when they're on the city right-of-way, they and have to relocate. That's a charge that the utility usually has to absorb. So just kind of throwing that out. I don't know if we looked at that or not, but I just got thinking of it because they're all in the right-of-way. I don't know if that's right or wrong. So thank you.
Alderman Mattson.
I just want to say we got to, I think, and I know you guys are working on that, taking a look at all this right-of-way stuff because we got to be careful, I think.
Yeah, and corporate counsel, can you give an update of what we're looking at as far as utility easements and cables being buried for the future?
Yeah, for some time, our IT people, along with the Public Works engineering folks, have been looking at right-of-way management ordinances, and we're going to be bringing one of those forward, a recommended one for the council in the next coming months, and fairly soon we'll be bringing forward, perhaps next cycle, a request for a moratorium on locating things in the right-of-way until we can get this new right-of-way management ordinance into place.
Alderman Justin.
Yeah, just one point. Usually when you plat a subdivision, the utility easement starts on the private property back behind the sidewalk. So my concern here is they're putting this fiber optic out back a curb between the sidewalk, if there was a sidewalk, between the sidewalk and the curb, not back behind the sidewalk on private property where the utility easement usually is. So if they're out there in our right of way, I just want to make sure that if for some reason they have to move, that we're not absorbing that cost.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
ask staff to make sure that's clear with the company. Anybody else? Number 7 is the resolution approving the plan specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost for the replacement of an 8-inch sanitary sewer main at West Kimberly Road and Harrison Street at the cost of $680,000. Anybody from the public? Council? Number 8 is a resolution granting a license to Bake Beer and Bread Company to locate a grease interceptor beneath the alley right in the right-of-way next to 1113 Mound Street. Anybody from the public? Council? Number 9 is a resolution approving change order number 2 to the construction contract with SAK Construction LLC for the fiscal year 2016-2017 sewer lining program in the amount not to exceed $157,118.25. Anybody from the public? Council? Number 10 is a resolution approving change order number 1 to the Civic Access Program with McDermott Concrete LLC in the amount of $241,203. Anybody from the public? Council? Number 11 is a resolution approving change order number 2 to Valley Construction Company in the amount not to exceed $100,000 for the Veterans Memorial Parkway paving project from Utica Ridge Road to the west tie-in at the new I-74 crossover bridge. Anybody from the public? Council? And I'm going to read the next few, and then we'll ask for a discussion on that. Number 12 is a resolution assessing the cost of boarding up buildings at various lots and tracts of real estate. Number 13 is a resolution assessing the cost of brush and debris removal at various lots and tracts of real estate. Number 14 is a resolution assessing the cost of repairing sewer lateral at various lots and tracts of real estate. Number 15 is a resolution assessing the cost of weed cutting at various lots and tracts of real estate. Anybody from the public? Alderman Dickman.
Thank you. At one point, we had discussed revisiting the ordinance about boarding up buildings. Is that something that's still going to come forward at some point?
I'm going to take that question. Yeah, actually, Alderwoman Tompkins and I met with, I'm going to forget a name here, but I remember Nicole Gleason at CSD, and we had a conversation about that just this week, within the past week. So that is being worked on by staff, and council as a group will be getting some feedback about that to review later on this year.
Okay, so this, approving this won't impact
No.
that? Okay.
No, this has to be done. It can't wait, this portion.
Just want to be sure. Thanks.
All right. That'll be a great topic for a work session. Number 16 is a motion approving change order number 4 to McCarthy Improvement in the amount of $31,270.17 for the Forest Grove Road paving project from Utica Road to East Corporate Limits. Anybody from the community? Council? Number 17 is a motion awarding the bid for the 14th District Sanitary Sewer Replacement to Miller Trucking and Excavation of Silvis, Illinois, in the amount of $68,860. Anybody in the community from council? Number 18 is a motion awarding the bid for the 14th District crossover to Valley Construction Company of Rock Island, Illinois, in the amount of $925,000 $25,525.50. Anybody from the community, from council? Number 19 is a motion accepting one grant offer of $20,000 and approving the associated grant agreement between the City of Davenport and the Iowa Department of Transportation, Office of Aviation. Total project cost for the Harrison Street Security Fence installation project at the Davenport Municipal Airport, $40,000. Anybody from the public, from council? Number 20 is a motion accepting one grant offer in the amount of $32,500 and approval of the associated grant agreement between the City of Davenport and the Iowa Department of Transportation Aviation Office. Total project cost for the rehabilitation hangar, $89.90 project at the Davenport Municipal Airport is approximately $65,000. Anybody from the community, from council? 21 is a motion to approve the right-of-way acquisition agreement with Riverall Farms Incorporated, not to exceed $80,000. Anybody from the community, from council? And lastly, number 22 is a motion awarding the contract for Granite Way Kraft Heinz project, a DOT project to Lyman Construction Incorporated of Rock Island, Illinois, in the amount of $2,974,711.49. Anybody from the public? From council? Alderman Rawson.
Yes, this is a follow-up from yesterday. Brian, could you say something about the grant funds that we received in regards to this project, just so the public's aware? Thank you.
Brian Shadd, Public Works. The city was lucky enough to receive just almost $2.4 million in the Iowa DOT RISE grant. That is the Revitalize Iowa's Sound Economy, and the grant is specifically for either modification or building of roads directly tied to economic development. So, thank you.
Thanks, Brian. This is an extremely important project, and it's moving along quite well. No other discussion. I ask for a motion to put all these items on the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We're adjourned. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Alderman Ambrose. Our last area will be to discuss finance. Alderman Gordon as chair and Alderman Tompkins as our vice chair.
Thank you, Your Honor. Our first item is a first consideration of an ordinance amending subsection 2.54.070A1 to allow Parks and Recreation Advisory Board members to serve in other capacities as well. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to discuss this? Anyone from council? This item will move on. Our second item is a resolution setting a public hearing regarding the conveyance of city-owned property at 2941 North Zenith Avenue. Robert J. Vidmar, petitioner. Anyone from the public? From council? Okay, this item will move on. Our third item is a motion approving a service agreement with Savage Services Corporation of Chervil, Indiana, to provide marketing, operate, and maintain the city's transload facility. And at this point, Brandon, would you like to? I'd like you to make just a few comments about this. We had some conversation about this yesterday in our Tuesday meeting. Oh, got a presentation too. Look at this. La-dee-da.
I thought you might ask about that. Brandon Wright, Finance Director. We've been working to get an agreement in place for the Transload facility. As you know, the city built that facility largely with grants, and now we're to the point where we actually have a signed contract from an operator for that facility. So just a couple of points about that agreement that we have. First of all, we're looking at operations would start as of April 1st, 2017. So that'll be great. So finally, it'd be nice to have rail cars moving along those tracks there. Savage is responsible for all the operating and maintenance costs related to the Transload facility. And that's great as well. While the city built it, we weren't necessarily interested in operating it or being in the risk business of operating it. So that all that has been transferred to Savage in the agreement itself. As far as revenue goes, the way that we've set it up is that the city receives a license fee from Savage once they pass 1,500 rail cars a year. So up to that point, the revenue is all theirs. And it, again, they're bearing all the risk of the operations. It is basically a startup operation for them. There are no users right now. They're going to be building those users over the next several months before April 1st and look to operate it as of April 1st. Then again, marketing efforts to begin immediately. So they are very interested in making sure that they have customers come April 1st. That will be them looking at existing business opportunities, but also looking at attracting new businesses to the area, which is one of the goals that we had with the Transload facility. A lot of that is in cooperation with the GDRC, who owns the land up there. And there's a lot of opportunity for new businesses to come in, locate themselves next to the Transload facility, and really be able to take advantage of that great opportunity to move freight along the rail lines.
Brandon, if you would, could you quickly just say what is a transload facility for the people who may not know what that is?
That's an excellent question, Mayor. So a transload facility is a facility where basically a truck and a rail and the rail meet. So the truck comes into the facility, all the goods are lifted off of the truck, put onto a rail car, and then from there it now is able to be moved across the country by freight.
So, I think my perspective on this. This is extremely important that we get this thing up and running. And so as soon as we get this contract signed, we need to engage this Savage immediately to start the marketing effort of this. Alderman Grip and myself and Bruce Berger represent the city on the Greater Davenport Redevelopment Corporation Board. And there are folks that are interested in sites out there that are inquiring about the transload facility and its operational date. So I think it will be a critical cog in that overall marketing of our industrial park. So as soon as we get that signed, let's get them engaged. Let's get them engaged with the GDRC and Tim Wilkinson, and let's start collectively and collaboratively marketing this thing together. So that's my ask of staff.
Yeah, great. And just a thing on that, April 1st is the last date by which operations would start. So as we get interested parties sooner than that, Savage would begin sooner.
Okay.
That is as well. So
because I want to get the word on the street that this is when you can expect it to be operating as soon as possible. So I do have some colleagues with comments. Alderman Ambrose.
Yeah, I agree with Alderman Gordon. This is extremely important. It's been going on a long time. What's the bio of this company and what's their strengths? We're going to make some tremendous demands on them. I hope we're choosing the right organization.
Yep. So back when we were interested in finding a partner for this, we actually had an RFP process just to get interested companies to let us know about their experience. Savage was selected among them as the company with the best experience in this area. So they operate transload facilities really around the world, and they do this for a living. This is a bit of a unique situation that it's a brand new startup for them, but they're really interested in getting that marketing going. They know how to market these things. They know how to find partners and make it work. So.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Brandon.
Alderman Justin.
Thank you, Chair. I think it's important that the public realizes that there were a lot of, obstacles that we had to go through dealing with the railroads on this project going back for several years, and also not just with the railroads, but with the funding from the federal government. It was not an easy task to get the funding for this, but I'm kind of interested, and it doesn't have to be tonight, but the per rail car fee. Is there a comparable for the rail spur our size? What a comparable per car fee is for another place in the country that is in this business? And the 1,500 cars. I don't know how we got there, but I'd be interested to know what once they hit that target, what kind of revenue is the city potentially looking at if this really takes off, like it could possibly take off? And then what's the per car rate that you based the fee on? So if you can get that, it's not a big deal, but kind of interesting. Thanks.
Excellent comments, Alderman Justin. So Brandon, or take Alderman Justin's comments to heart. Seeing no other comments on this particular item, it will move on. Our fourth item is a motion amending the management agreement between the City of Davenport and First Transit Incorporated to extend the term by 6 months to accommodate transferring management of the city bus system to Metrolink. Anyone from the public? From council? This item will move on. Number 5, a motion awarding the procurement and installation of a new playground system at Harrington Park to Cunningham Recreation of Ankeny, Iowa, in the amount of $57,973.32. Anyone from public? From council? This will move on. And our last item is a motion awarding the procurement and installation of a new playground system at Ridgeview Park to Cunningham Recreation of Ankeny, Iowa, in the amount of $60,838.35. Anyone from the public? From council? Alderman Grip.
Thank you, Alderman Gordon. I just wanted to say that these are a couple of parks that I went on the park tour that I did with my children, and Ridgeview Park was definitely in need of this. I was able to stop by Scott's office the other day and see the selection choices for playgrounds, and they are very good, well needed, and I think everybody in that neighborhood is going to be happy with the product that you got. So, nice job.
Thank you, Alderman Grip. It was fun following your family's shenanigans this summer as you visited all those parks. It was a good time. And with that, I'd ask Alderwoman Tompkins to set the agenda.
Thank you. Yes, I also agree. There's lots of exciting things going on. Not to say that Transload facility and those kinds of things aren't fun, but it is fun to see the new playgrounds going in. So thanks for all your work on that. I move all items to the consent agenda.
Second. All in favor? All right, and then our last item is for informational purposes only, and they're in your agenda if you're interested, are purchases of $10,000 to $50,000. And with that, Your Honor, we're finished.
Thank you very much. I just want to make one point here before we go on to potentially other ordinance and resolutions, et cetera. Again, I want to make sure, because I've had people ask about the process of these meetings. What you've heard tonight, again, is the committee of the whole. You've seen us go through all of these items. This has been a lot of hard work well before this by staff, individual aldermen doing research, more research involved with that as well. Then, again, as an example, yesterday at our management update and mayor council discussion session, every one of these items was went through in detail, and that is open to the public every Tuesday. We have that session, so you can sit in and hear all the discussion related to all of these items. Then we're here tonight at the committee of the whole, where we went through them all again. All of this was dealt with one by one. So you see all the activity that's going on, and you heard the comment that some of my colleagues said, this moves to the consent agenda, meaning we've vetted this a number of times. Next week, when we have the council meeting, it'll be at the committee of the whole, the city council meeting, you'll hear we make a motion to approve all the items on the consent agenda. So we don't go through these one by one again. We've already done that a number of times for the public, and some of these are his first, second readings, and we have ultimately up to 3 readings on some of these. So there's a lot of opportunity for your input, and we just wanted to give you a sense of that process. So with that, are there any other ordinance resolutions or motions tonight? Seeing or hearing none, is there any public with business who would like to speak this evening? Seeing none, are there any other reports of city officials? I'm sorry? Yes. Oh. Reverend Teague.
Council. I am Elder Daniel Teague. I am the director and founder of Quad City Boots on the Ground. We basically come to introduce ourselves to you tonight. I'd like to address the comment about the violence in the community, if that's okay. It's interesting to hear people talk about the different things that happens in our community. Boots on the Ground, we organized behind the shots fired call last year around September time. We're getting ready to celebrate a year this coming week. And what it caused, our church's response to the things that were going on. And we got out into the community and we started talking to the people of the community. We didn't sit back and make observations ourselves. We went in and started talking to people and found out what was going on, where they're at, where the crimes and stuff are being committed. And I agree with Councilman when he talked about we need to pray for our police officers. But there's another side of that coin too. We need to pray for the people of the community, because one of the pillars that we ran into 3 that came around consistently, the very main one that everybody was talking about was police and community relationships. They talked about the lack of job opportunities and the lack of educational opportunities. But the police and the community relationship was a major one. And I know it takes a special person to run into a situation where there's violence when everybody else is trying to run out. But the interesting thing about that, they signed up for that. They signed up to run into that. And so they can change their career. We can't change being black. That's something that we can't change. And because we are black does not mean we have to be treated differently from every other citizen in this community. We have an issue with profiling in our communities. And there's been a profile study that is being held up right now, whatever the situation is, that the community needs to be alerted to. As we're out talking about these situations, we are dealing with the violence in our own community. We are getting organizing street clubs and different things like that. But the police violence in our community, how they show up and how they handle certain members of the community, how we could talk about African American men, young men walking down the street playing Pokemon and they get pulled over and harassed for whatever reason. That's not acceptable because we're black. I have a problem when I hear they have to have some special training going on in order to deal with black people. That's making us look like we're a separate class of people that has to be dealt with. And I come to ask that the profiling stops. I'm asking that the profiling stops. I'm asking that the police officers that profile and are above the baseline of profiling be taken off the streets because they are in danger to our community. Everything that we see going on nationwide, it starts with profiling. And it's not okay for us as black people in the community to have to deal with that. Yes, we got our own problems, but we will address them with the help of the police, because it's important that the police and the community have an excellent relationship. And at Boots on the Ground, we have strived to keep the police and the community interacting with each other. And we deal with the violence that goes on in our community, but we're also going to deal with the violence that the community sees coming from the police force. I brought other members from Boots on the Ground to talk about these other pillars, but that police and community relationship is a serious one that needs to be addressed. Because along with that, we dealt with, like I said, the the lack of educational opportunities and lack of job opportunities, which we ran into individuals that are returning citizens from being incarcerated for a long period of time, which all that comes together. Because if they have a record, they're being profiled or they're being targeted out for something, which the process starts all over. We all have to get together to do better. We can't sit in our comfort zones and start making assumptions about what's going on in our community. Hopefully all these aldermen sitting here have relationships with the communities that they're in. Because to hear biased statements and hear things that I just heard tonight lets me know how disconnected that our so-called leaders are from the community, because they only speak in one aspect of it and not the other one. And that's not okay. If we're going to get our community together, we need to be together and getting our community together. Boots on the Ground, we're celebrating a year on the 26th. Everyone up here is invited to United Neighbors. We will end it with a candlelight vigil. But we are here, and we're going to be in the community dealing. But we're going to address the issues that we're seeing. We're not trying to hold back. We're not taking side. But it has to be a level playing field in order for us to get the community back together. We can't change who we are. We have a few that like to try, but we can't change who we are. But the police can change their careers. So they don't have to go in there, so they don't have to come in our communities like that. So if we had no cops that are escalating the profiling, whatever, we ask that they get put off the streets because they are dangerous to our community. We need officers that are willing to work with us and help get the community back together.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there someone else from the public?
What time on the 26th, sorry? What time on the 26th?
6:30, 808 North Harrison Street.
And again, typically in this session, just so you're aware, we don't respond. You're making comments, we take this and then deal with those along the way. Is there anyone else from the public who wants to? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Dr. Keith Franey, and I'm a clinical psychologist, and I've lived in the community for 19 years. And I'm also a member of Boots on the Ground, and I'd like to just make a few comments regarding something I'm relatively new to in terms of information, and that's the DCAP studies that have been looking at racial profiling in the Quad Cities, particularly, I believe, in Davenport. Now, it's my understanding that year after year, these studies have demonstrated that racial profiling is a definite reality here. My question, I have numerous questions, and I guess I have a request as well. racial profiling, I've done some research on it. I would like to know, is it an approved practice by the Davenport Police Department? And if it is, then I believe it's incumbent upon them to demonstrate or to at least explicate its relevance to their policing goals. If it is not an approved practice of the Davenport Police Department, what does the DCAP Council Committee panel, what is their purpose? Are we every year going to do a study that says racial profiling exists, but okay, racial profiling exists. What's to be done about it? If it's not approved and it's something we all agree something should be done about, what's the mechanism by which that happens? I don't know of any panel, committee, or anything appointed by the city that has any kind of mandate or mission to address this issue. And my request would be that the committee and the mayor consider this, and that they consider making members of the community part of this panel, committee, or whatever that would look into solutions to this what I consider to be a problem. There's a lot of studies out there that demonstrate the ineffectiveness of racial profiling and when it comes to police work. Unlike Elder Teague, and we disagree on this point, I do believe that the white and non-minority police officers in the department need extensive training to start to understand their implicit bias. There's been tons of research done on implicit bias that we all carry around with us. It's my opinion, both as a person, as a man, and as a professional psychologist, that you can't grow up white in this country and not come away with some inherent racial ideas, racist beliefs, and it's no wonder that police officers come to the job with that. And I don't believe that they're racist. I don't believe that they want to come in the community. I don't believe that they want to do damage. But I do believe that an unintended consequence of the way our society has been for the past 150, 200 years is that non-minority people come away with inherent beliefs, implicit beliefs that may hinder their ability to do their jobs, particularly when it comes to things like policing. I thank you for your time tonight, and have a good evening.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Yes, sir.
My name is Dimitri Parker. I'm part of the Boots on the Ground. I heard some disturbing things coming from this council when it comes to the black neighborhood also. I heard some disturbing things say something about Obama letting prisoners out. Well, guess what? I'm one of those prisoners that he let out. I was given a life sentence, served 16 years of my life. I changed my life. They didn't change my life because I wanted to change my life. Now, and getting back and coming back to the Quad Cities and changing my life, I've seen a lot of things that needs to change. Keith was talking about the police situation across the nation, about the study that was going on. If we can't get the police off the street that this study is showing that they doing increased profiling in the black community, and we willing to work with the police, but these same police are staying on the force, then this same thing is going to keep on going, and we're not going nowhere. We're going to keep on coming back, hopefully every week, because this is my first time coming to hear this kind of stuff. And I crunched some numbers, and a lot of money was allotted to a lot of construction going on around here. And there was this amount of money allotted to some playgrounds. The neighborhood that I live in, I counted, I'm not a mathematician, but it was over $5 million. And what? Not even $200,000 for some playgrounds. I live in a neighborhood where the kids are begging for a simple basketball court, and this city won't put one there. Why won't they spend some of that money to put a basketball court in the neighborhood? They had a basketball court, one of the little mobile ones that they set up in the streets. Police came and made them came take it down. They said they was blocking the traffic. They wasn't blocking the traffic. Those children were playing basketball there for a long time, and there was no problem. What's the problem with putting a basketball court out there for those children? I don't see a problem with it. You got playground space out there. You got a beautiful playground out there. In serving my 16 years, I was looking for somebody to work with, and I found that in Boots on the Ground. And I love the fact that they're working with police, the police department, even though I'm an ex-felon. And I'm willing to work with the police department also. I have several of their numbers in my phone right now, where if anything happened, I can call them, and I can believe I can get some kind of justice. But if this council will not get those police off the street, who this study shows that are going beyond the bar for pulling over people with skin that look like mine, then it's always going to be some kind of friction there. Some of that money that $5 million that I added up, how much of that money is going to help the federal prisoners that's getting out, that Obama finna let out? Because he's finna let them out. Because study shows that just locking them up and throwing away the key is not working. Because this nation is spending too much money locking them up. Our children are going from the schoolyard to the prison yard. And guess what? Pretty soon they're going to have to come home, and y'all going to have to deal with that. One of our pillars is dealing with education. What kind of education programs do you have for ex-felons? Because I'm telling you from experience, in the joint, I was one of the last people that get into a college program, and I graduated. I got my business certificate. Right now, I got out and started my business in less than a year. I own my own business. They don't have those programs no more. So what do they have? Once they get their GED, that's it. I don't know how much time I got, but I thank y'all for having the Food Truck Fridays, because I have an Italian icy cart, so I'm trying to get into that. But know this, there's a lot of children that come to me and ask for a job, and I would like to give it to them, but I need the city's help in doing that. Boots on the Ground needs the city's help in doing that. So you got to invite it to our 1-year anniversary. I hope to see you all there.
Thank you very
If
much.
not one, just one. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Yes, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Leonard Overstreet, lifetime resident of Davenport, Iowa. I'm a product of some of the stuff I've heard people talk about.
Could you come a little closer to the microphone? Yeah, thank
I'm
you.
a product of some of the stuff I've heard about tonight. I went to prison also. I am also a part of Boots on the Ground. I also work with the chief of police and everybody else trying to right our situations in our communities. I went to prison for 12 years for selling drugs. 12 years didn't change me. I changed myself. I worked at Oscar Mayer, third shift. I run a boxing club, which is Beasley Boxing Club. I'm a part of Boots on the Ground. I stay busy. But during my 12 years, I realized it costs $24,000 to $36,000 a year to take care of a grown man in prison that you all will have to pay for. $24,000 to $36,000 a year per. Then I looked at what I made last year. I work at Oscar Mayer, which is a reasonable place. I made about the same as much as we take to take care of these prisoners in prison. I'm just asking that we try to find a way, other than just to lock them up so we have to take care of grown men. Try to find a way that we can, the ones that's trying to be rehabilitated, allow them the chance to prove that they are a changed man. I come before you just to ask to try to work on resolutions. Lock them up is not the answer. locking our kids up, locking up all these bad communities. It's not the answer. Try to find ways to deal with the community as well as the people that's coming home. Because there's some that want to change that have changed. I come home and the first thing I see on the application, how you been convicted of a felon, my heart drops. But yet instead they say once I was free, I paid my debt to society. That's the first thing I run into. I'm sitting in front of an employer, young man, convicted felon, and I have to sell myself. And I sold myself. And I thank God for allowing me to build myself mentally and physically to come back home because it was a lot of things thrown at me. Child support, finding a place to stay, getting a license, just the normal things that men do in society. I was so far behind. I worked at jobs making $7 an hour, paying $300 a week in child support. And I've stayed the course. And I just said to say this, that we need to try as a community to build our communities up, not break them down, not lock them up. I went to school at J.B. Young. It's closed down now. But we built new jails, we built new prisons, but we're not building no community. We're not doing it for our community. I just ask you guys to just think about that a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from the public? Are there any reports of city officials? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor say aye. Any opposed, same sign?